All right, I think I got it to work. If somebody can, like send me a message or something on Messenger, that way I know that this is actually working. So that would be super awesome. It says I'm live. Oh, there's comment section too. I have no idea what I'm doing, so we're just gonna like fly by the seat of our pants right now. So apparently my internet connection's not super awesome either. So we're gonna see how it goes. Just working out a couple things here. I think I'm just gonna Heather Cox Richardson this and wait for some folks to come in. I don't see any viewers so far on my setup, so stand by one. I'm gonna open up another tab and see if we can make this all work. I'm just tech savvy enough to get myself in trouble. Wait, I've got something from Chris. Hold on. Oh, nope, it's just an unsure face. And I can't get my messengers to open either. All right, I've got one person to see. It'll work. I've got a billion tabs open. I don't know if I told you guys I have ADHD. Woohoo! All right, Chris says I'm here. Yay! Okay. Oh my god, this is like super terrifying, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So, I have no script. We're just gonna, like I said, fly off the seat of our pants. So, hi, my name's Lise. I am a high masking ADHDer, which basically means that I have autism and ADHD. There's a comment section open too right now. Chris already like posted something, so if you have any questions, I'm gonna go over some like general things that I've had people ask me in the past. But if you have any like specific questions about autism, ADHD, me, um, my stuff, yeah, that's where we're gonna go. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you my space. So this is called the Salt Shack, and a little bit of a history behind the term is actually during my last, what I believe is burnout, right? I'm still learning about this. I like, up until about 3 years ago, I had no idea like what high functioning autism was. I knew what autism was in like the classical presentation that had been portrayed in media, um, psychology in general. It's pretty clear that we've just scratched the surface, and the more that I learn, the more I realize I don't know um, much about it at all. So I thought I would bring you guys along on this little journey, show you all my cool stuff. Um, so let's do the stuff part first in the space. Again, Salt Shack. Came up with the name when I was living with some very gracious roommates who took me in during burnout in 2015, I want to say. I was in a really bad space mentally. I'd lost my housing and I had a cat. And I basically showed up at their door and was like, hi, I don't know where to live. So they took me in. Super, super awesome. I'm not going to cry about that because I'm like emotional about it. And they had this like amazing, amazing shelf with board games. So this is kind of like reminiscent of that space. And we had this thing that was called Salt. And there was a salt board in our living room in the house that we all lived together. And they particularly were like a big gaming community, like board games, right? This is Potato. Hi, Potato. And we had this whiteboard where everybody's name was like listed on it. And if the group felt that a person was being salty during board game play, in general, they would get salt points. And then, someone could be like the saltiest person in the house. So that's why this is called the Salt Shack. Because it's also a space that I started out because I wanted to have like a board game space for me and my friends. And now it has transformed into this weird and cool manifestation of like my ADHD. So, okay, I've gone there, I've talked about everything, and I'm going to show you the space. And Potatoes decided to join us. He's a little shy, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to spin this camera around so you can see it. So, this whole space is designed into like multiple different micro spaces. So, the first spot right here is board games. Behind me, and I'll turn it now. You won't be able to see me. I'm gonna see if I can do this right. I tried it like earlier and it seemed to go okay. I'm actually gonna go, yeah, I'll go this way. So, anywho, I've got some cord management problems at the moment. So, as we go along, the center of the space has this big kitchen table. That's the garage. It's boring. We don't care about that. This is my like witchy space. It is a mess. It's a total mess. You can see how messy it is, but that's where I like grow my plants and my starts. I view it as like chaos gardening, and there's like a little shrine to like friends, family who's passed away. My special interest right now is like astrology and like witchcraft, which is like one of like 20 different special interests because I also have ADHD. But that's the space right now. Everything's in the middle of like production. I've only been working in this garage for about a month and a half. It was like filled with boxes before. That's the freezer, obviously. This is my art space. So, artboard there, tons of canvases with partially painted and completed projects. My goal is to like pressure myself into doing my like more art. I find peer pressure works really well for me. So I'm gonna use you guys to keep me going in my art endeavors. This is the table. That's one of my rock collections. I like rocks. That's from the beach. I live by the beach. Art project I'm working on. I'll talk about that project more. It's my subtle way of fucking with my neighbors in like a super nice way. I swear a lot too, so if you don't like swearing, I would suggest maybe going to some other streamers that are not okay with that. I don't know. I like it as a valid form of expression. And in the middle of the table is this amazing art piece that I just made. And at night, it turns on automatically and glows. And I also did some ambiance in the space with Christmas lights. Everything here, too, is not like completely finished yet. It's a work in progress, just like my life. That is one of my favorite parts right over here. This here is my piano and like music space. I'm so excited about it. I have to actually like go over there and show you. But there's like piano, music, art shit, all kinds of stuff. One of my many book collections. This is the gaming area. And I'm going to try to turn it. This is the most rudimentary stream I've ever seen in my life. So thanks for bearing with me. I really appreciate it. Okay. This is the gaming space. I've got my fabulous gaming pillow. There's a dual couch with recliners. Cup holders, you need a beverage while you're gaming. This is a spot where I pack rat all my extra stuff, and lots of boxes of books. I like to read, though the number of books I've completed is not equal to the number of books I own in terms of if I finished reading them. So, anyways, cool spot. I'm in the middle of playing Mario Galaxy again, Mario Galaxy 2, and I haven't played it in about 15 years, and it's been so much fun. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it back around to me. I'm like super excited right now, and like trying to be unmasked as possible. Oh, Mitch, if you're on or if you see this later, I told you that I would show you at some point once this was done my like Gundam shrine. So Gundam Wing was like a special interest of mine during middle school, high school. I don't know how many times I watched the show, but there are characters in it that like really resonated with me. So um, I'm also like very into being like a social justice warrior, and that particular show really illustrated the I don't know the different facets of war, politics, um, pacifism, and all these different characters, and like how they kind of struggled, digested, and understood a world that they had been flung into. Anyways, it's something that really resonated with me, and it kind of relates honestly to what we're all going through right now. But I want to be a space for everybody to feel comfortable, to know like shit's crazy, but it's okay, and we're just gonna go with it because that's how history is, and it's a cyclical process, and sometimes you go through crappy stuff, and then it gets better. So I'm here to help you make it feel better, no matter how crappy your life is. So you should come along with me, and we're gonna have a fun time. So, anyways, without further ado, Mitch. Okay, so there's like my Star Wars shrine too, and above that is my ode to Nerf guns. And you can like barely see it, but that's my favorite Gundam. That's oh sorry, no, that's not my favorite Gundam. That's like Shenlong or something. I don't remember. I got it as a gift, and it's not actually like from the Gundam series. But in homage to the Gundam series in general, I've got a bunch of like mech models up there. Um, in terms of like an info dump, Death Scythe is my absolute favorite, and if I could, that would be my other car. Um, but anyways, so standard questions about what this stream is going to be about. Primarily me and life looking through the lens of a person with autism and ADHD. There's a lot of misnomers about that particular area. Only up until a couple years ago, I believe, people or the medical community actually kind of like acknowledged that those can be comorbidities. I think that's the right word. And so I want to focus on this idea that I've seen from some streamers right now. In particular, I really like watching Heather Cox Richardson and Joanne Freeman in particular. And they frequently talk about their historians uh, in this moment. They talk about in this moment, and they talk about like what's the why that's going on behind different events, things that are happening, people's psychology, why they do the things that they do. And psychology is something that's always fascinated me. I've gone through a multitude of different diagnoses since I was a teenager. The first time I actually saw a therapist was, I think I was 20. And ever since then, there's been kind of these like different moments in my life that I've lived through, and I want to be able to share not just that, but also provide documentation for people in the future, for people like me, for the medical community, and almost just as like a historical artifact. And maybe that sounds pretentious and weird, but going back to Heather, that's something she talks about. Like she records her thoughts every day. She does these Substack journals. She does weekly or bi-weekly videos, and the idea behind it is to create a record of like a person's reactions to their environment. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to accurately document what it's like to be an autistic person or to be neurodivergent, and what does that look like in real time. My space here, for those of you who have ADHD as well, probably can relate to it. It's messy, it's disorganized, it's organized to me. Um, but most people, when they walk in, it feels very visually overwhelming. And for me, that's okay. And that's kind of my process of like how I go through life, right? I'm an artist. When I start a piece, start working on something, it's usually really messy. It's a rough sketch, and I like to refine things. Um, to a point sometimes where like I spend too much time on refinement and the fine details, which is definitely an autistic trait, which we're going to talk about in the future. But yeah, I wanted to show you. I want to show you what it looks like. I want to show you what ADHD looks like, unfiltered. I don't like doing scripts. I see a lot of shows and streams and um, portrayals of autistic people, particularly in media, that I feel like have scratched the surface in terms of representation, but have left a lot to the imagination for neurotypicals. That's what we call you guys who don't have autism or ADHD. Ah, so I want to show you guys like what it's like, what it's really like. So we're gonna go, and as we go through this journey, we're gonna learn about me. We're gonna learn about things that are detrimental for people with autism, what's masking, what are special interests, um, what is RSD, what is ASD, how does autism change in its presentation, what goes on in the mind of an autistic person. And I want to focus primarily on helping people who are like me. I made a post, like a personal post, a couple of days ago, and it was raw. I think, it's funny. There's this saying that when people come out as autistic or neurodivergent, people who are neurotypical, especially if you're high masking, will be like, who is this person? Um, but a lot of your friends who also have neurodivergencies, is that a word? Are kind of basically like, yeah, finally, took you long enough. We all knew anyways. We just didn't want to say anything. So it's kind of cool. It's interesting going through this process. My first post, I had this like overwhelming support from what I hope is going to like cultivate into my community. And a lot of people that I didn't even know in my own personal life that were neurodivergent. And I've been very quiet and private about my diagnosis, like, to the point where I think only like maybe 10 people knew before I posted this. Um, and so it's a little terrifying to do that. But I don't know, I want people to see what it's like. I want people to understand if you are neurodivergent that you can, like, not just survive in this world, you can thrive. But the biggest thing is that you need to be present for yourself. And that was something that I wasn't for a long time for me. I was present for others, and I did things how I was told that I was supposed to do it in order to be successful. And so far, that kind of just blew up in my face multiple times in my life. White knuckling it, acting like a neurotypical, suppressing my stims, making eye contact all the time. I don't know if you noticed, I'm sure you all did already. I hate making eye contact. It sucks. And whenever you do it, my brain doesn't work. So I'll look to the camera. The camera's kind of weird anyways because I feel like I'm talking to a robot, which I never realized was a thing until I started streaming. But yeah, I just want you guys to get to know me. And I want to serve as somebody who can help people, especially girls, because I grew up on my own with no one to really help me in this. So I got to like fumble fuck my way through it and find out all these wonderful things the hard way. And I don't think that other people like me deserve to go through that. It sucked. And we have enough information and we're learning so much that, like, let's better understand people who are neurodivergent and how can we show up for them? How can they show up for themselves? And being realistic about their strengths and, I don't want to say their weaknesses, but their differences and things that stuff in this world, it's not accommodating for us. And that's okay, I guess. Um, but at some point, I think we all need to just be real about it. Like, you can't fake it forever. You can't, well, I guess you can try to, but it just ends up being super detrimental for someone with autism. Uh, or any neurodivergency because you can't fake it forever. It's like method acting, to be honest. That's kind of how I've always treated masking. And I don't know if any of you are actors, but method acting is where you take on the persona, feelings, thoughts, and world perspective of the character that you're playing. There's certain actors that do that. Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace, was a method actor. Um, there's other people too, and I can't, like, their names are escaping me. But anyways, that's how masking was for me, and it's really draining. It's really hard. It feels like you're on stage all day, and I don't know if anyone's ever, performed in a play or something. I used to do some, I dabbled in drama when I was in high school, and it's tough. You do a set on stage for an hour, and you're giving it your all, and then afterwards you're just exhausted. You're like, holy shit, like this was cool. I pulled it off. Especially if you can, like, if the character that you're choosing is like on point and you just like nailed every single aspect of that character, you're still exhausted, but you're like, fuck yeah, I did it. Nobody knew. My character was what these people were expecting. It's what they got. My performance was amazing. I'm also a vocal stem person, so as I get more comfortable with this, you'll probably hear me sing all the time. Um, and maybe you'll hear some of my other stems, like one that I absolutely love. Can you tell that I'm like a little ADHD today because I'm like super nervous and just all over the place? But one of my like favorite, I can't believe I'm like telling you guys this. My favorite stem sounds like Zoidberg from Futurama, and it kind of like manifested about a year or two ago, as I started to get like more comfortable with stems. And I'm not gonna do it right now because it's like it sounds exactly like what Zoidberg sounds when he's like doing his little arm things. And I think it's great and it sounds amazing and it feels cool and that's why I do it. But it's all of these things, everything I've talked about, and I'm gonna try to like mesh all of this stuff together and make it cohesive and organized, which clearly it's not right now. Um, but I want you guys to come along with me on this journey towards cohesiveness and organization and like a proper presentation, production, all that fun stuff, because I think that's actually kind of serves as a metaphor for how I got to like where I am now. Because it was like messy, clunky. Occasionally it looked like, my performance was on point. My last career, I think most people that I worked with thought that I was just weird and quiet. Um, but me like coming out probably has been, I don't know, interesting to them. I don't really, I'm taking this journey of being happy with myself and surrounding myself with people who are happy. I don't even need to like have their validation. It's ridiculous. Um, but I want to surround with myself with people who like lift me up and are like okay with me being me. I'm not. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry, um, and I'm not going to. But like, I want this to be raw too. I want people to understand like who I am. So I'm gonna take some direction now and like actually go into formatting of what my plans are for this stream. So first things first, this is my studio. This is like the talks that are going to be the most, I think, real with people. I want to start engaging and doing like a live chat, Q&A sessions, um, primarily focused on helping people who are neurodivergent, helping them understand social situations, understand themselves, what works for them, what causes burnout, uh, understanding when you're on the verge of being burnt out. What are the symptoms of your battery draining? What are jobs that might not be so great for you. But maybe there's noise in the background from other people who don't quite understand you that think they know you best because they're basing their assumptions off of external observations of your mask. So, yeah, let's have real talk. That's my goal. I think I'm gonna probably stream once a week, and then I'm also doing some like collaborations with my friends. And I basically want to like Mr. Rogers this ship, and I'm gonna have people who are on who are like guest speakers. We're gonna go. Hopefully, I think this is gonna happen. I'm gonna like peer pressure people into this. Sorry. Um, like I've been uncomfortable most of my life accommodating others, so I I hope there's people out there who are willing to be a little uncomfortable to accommodate me and my audience. So, anyways, I was in medicine for almost 8 years. I've got all these awesome friends who are going to help me with that. Uh, Maybe even go to like fire stations and talk with paramedics, talk about emergency medicine. And I want to show these jobs, these experiences through the lens of somebody who's autistic because I want people, especially younger kids who are autistic that haven't gotten into the workforce yet, maybe they're being given information that's not helpful. And I want to show people that there's other options than that unhelpful advice that you might be getting. And that's kind of a personal thing for me. And I know that based on my conversations with other autistic people, particularly in the online community, there's a lot of frustration about people not understanding us. Infantizing is like a huge thing. I'm not even going to get into that right now. We'll do a whole episode. Um, but yeah, I want to show you guys, give you terms, things that are going to help you identify stuff that's going on in you. Talking about your emotions and accurately explaining what's going on in your head as an autistic person, or what you're feeling physically, mentally. That can be difficult for certain individuals, especially level one, which I am a level one. Going into things like that, what is the spectrum? Why are some people nonverbal? Why is it that one day I can like work well and then the next day I just like I can't talk to people. I don't have like full selective mutism, but um, it's pretty close if I'm like incredibly uh, threatened in a situation. So we're gonna go to different like job sites, talk about different topics. I think what I'll do is for each topic, we're gonna just do one episode per topic. We'll do some like Q&A episodes, and they'll be the same day of the week, I think. And then we'll also be doing pre-recorded stuff. Uh, and I'm open to suggestions from you guys too. Like if there's something that someone's like, hey, this is something Lisa hasn't talked about yet, and it really resonates with me, and I want to learn more about it. So you can fill up my inbox with all these questions, comments, um, critiques. Be nice. I'm super sensitive, and I feel more confident in that. But like, I also am my own worst critic, and if you know AJR, which is one of my most favorite bands, there's this like lyrics where it's like, I think you hate me, but I probably hate me more. That's something I'm working on. So like, I'd appreciate it if you didn't like amplify that feeling in me. But everyone's an individual, and I'm gonna just act accordingly, depending on that. So I think that's it. I feel like I'm rambling, but you've seen my space, you've seen me uh, unmasked too, which is like weird. And you kind of understand like what the formatting is of this show. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be raw, and it's gonna probably make some people uncomfortable. But I'm at a place in my life where I don't care if I talk about embarrassing topics. I don't care if it puts people in uncomfortable mindsets. Uh, with that said, any episode or any live where I am going to talk about things that might make people feel uncomfortable, I am going to be forthright beforehand. We'll put warnings on the episodes if there's things that are triggering for certain individuals. But yeah, I guess my idea is that I'm here to show up for myself. I'm here to show up for the autistic community. And it's okay if we make other people uncomfortable. Uh, and that's kind of my message is to people who don't like how I dress, how I talk, my stims, that I don't do like the right things. Can you tell that like I've had quite a few critics in my life? Um, my response to that would be like, fuck your feelings. I'm sorry that you're uncomfortable, but my existence is here. I am present, and you're gonna have to learn to live with me. And maybe that's not always like the right way to go about it, but I've made space for people that I didn't need to make space for a long time in my life. And I'm at a place where I'm making space for the right people. And I want you guys to as well. I'm sure everybody who's watching this now or who's going to see it in the future, because I'm going to record it and I'm not going to watch it afterwards because this is like, I'm human. I'll probably say stuff that's probably ignorant, not accurate. Do your research. I'm trying my best and I want to be authentic and real and empathetic. And my heart's in this. And I'm going to try to be honest and talk in the most accurate manner that I can and give you guys information that might make you think about your place in the world as an autistic individual, as an individual with neurodivergencies, um, but like also to people who are neurotypical. How have you shown up for people who are different? How have you not shown up for people who are different? Um, I might just do an episode, honestly, on like things that people have told me in my life that resonated and shouldn't have, that were unhelpful. And maybe that will help people better understand that my struggles might not be relatable to you. I know there's going to be a lot of people that it'll be relatable to, but like empathy. Empathy is a huge thing. Like, just because you don't understand somebody, or if you aren't empathetic, you know, sympathize with them. Say to them, hey, I don't know what you're going through, but I want you to know it's okay to not be okay. All the stuff that you hear about positive uh, psychology, being nice to others. So I'm going to end on that note. Also, because Heather and Joanne are going to do a podcast today. I think they're on right now, and I really want to go watch them because they're amazing. And that's just my own like personal preference. So I'm going to get off, but I want to end every single episode with this saying that I heard a couple of years ago from members in the autistic community, and it really resonated with me. And the saying is, when you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. And that saying makes sense to me, and it might not make sense to others. So even though I just said that I'm going to like sign off in a second, I'm just going to go off on this little detour for like 1 second, um, to help illustrate that saying, that sentence. When you meet one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. And Graham's gonna be like, "Oh my god, you're gonna like go this trail." But I'm like a super nerd, right? And I love to read when I was a kid. And Lord of the Rings is one of the best books um, in the world. So if you haven't read it, you probably should. Movies are great, but they don't do the books justice. There's three of them, plus The Hobbit. Um, so maybe make that your homework assignment for the weekend. But anyways, going back to Lord of the Rings. Oh, I hit my camera and it's like moving. There's all these different types of, I don't know if you'd call them species, but like all these different like humanoid groups. You've got elves, you've got dwarves, you've got humans, you've got hobbits. And I think that has been the best way for me to illustrate what autism or ADHD is like. We're just going to stick with autism for right now, right? And what I like to say is that people who are autistic are like hobbits. Because hobbits are the best, in my opinion. I like elves too, but hobbits are better. And they look like dwarves to some degree. And I'm not going to go into like, there's no such thing as like, you can't look at a person physically and be like, yes, this person's autistic because these physical attributes, right? It's not like Down syndrome where it manifests in certain types of physical features. I can guarantee that you probably already know somebody that's autistic and you have no idea. Maybe not in your own personal group, but somewhere. So anyways, going back to hobbits. Autistic people are like hobbits, or whatever you want to use. You can pretend that we're like elves or something. And humans are like dwarves. If you don't like dwarves, just reverse it. I don't care. Pick one. And they all have different ways of doing things that are natural and normal to them. So dwarves like to live in mountains. They like to mine. They're just different, right? They have different normalities or ways of going about things. And hobbits have things that they're really good at and ways of life that are normal for them. And they all have their different strengths and I guess detriments between these two like groups. But that's kind of what it feels like to be autistic for me. I feel like a hobbit surrounded by dwarves sometimes, who tell me that I am a dwarf, and so why aren't I acting like a dwarf? And so I guess that's kind of like a way of like being accepting or being empathetic about autistic people. So you've met one autistic person, right? We have different hardwiring, we have different ways that are things that are normal for us. Uh, Hobbits go barefoot. Dwarves don't do that. They probably look at them sideways, like, why the fuck would you walk around without shoes on? And so I want to like get to a place, and the reason behind this stream is to help people understand that like, yes, the hardwiring in an autistic person's brain is different. They look the same as you and I. There are things that are more natural for them, and they are kind of like a hobbit living in the mountains with dwarves. Like, it's not really like, there's things that are cool about it, but like, it's not really a natural environment for a hobbit. So, maybe keep that in the back of your mind. And the other thing too about hobbits, and you meet one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, I promise I'm getting to the point here, is that, you've got Sam, Frodo, Merry, Pippin, they all have like these different personalities, right? And there's older hobbits, there's younger hobbits, there's hobbits with disabilities, there's, just like all different types of hobbits. And that's kind of how autism is. I'm really excited about this. I hope this analogy makes sense for people. But like autism is like, hey, we're like different. Our brains work differently, but we're not all the same. Like Merry and Pippin wouldn't be able to make it to like the gates of Mordor. Sorry. They're they want to go have fun and do whatever. Like, they're still good in battle, right? Obviously, but they have different personalities. They have different things that they got going on, and that's just how autism is. Like for me, I have autism and ADHD, and that's going to manifest differently than someone who just has autism or someone who just has ADHD. And we have all of these different sensitivities. For me, tags are the worst thing ever. And I hate socks. Socks are the devil. And they've been like, That's what I call it. That's one of my leasisms, is socks are the devil. And that's how I am. But then I know other people who are autistic and they have to have socks on all the time. So weird examples. I don't know if it resonates with people. I hope it does. But like, let me know this stuff, like, what resonates with you. I hope that example makes a little bit of sense. I went off like on a random like rant there. But I really want to go watch other lives right now on YouTube. So I'm gonna like cut this live short or end it. It's not short. It's almost 11 o'clock. I've gone like way past. And if you're still watching, hey, thanks for sticking around through my chaos. It's going to get more organized. It's going to be less chaos every single step that you go down this process. And I kind of want you to see how somebody like problem solves through this who is autistic and all those other fun things. So, anyways, I want to tell you guys too, thank you so much for supporting me. The people have like shown up so far since I've been open about this. Oh, you guys are awesome. Um, And yeah, I hope you have an awesome Saturday. And maybe like let's end on the note of being empathetic. My ask of you guys this week, and I'm going to try and stream again. Maybe I'll just stream again next Saturday. I don't know. We'll find out. I'll let you guys know. But my ask of you this week is I want you to be empathetic and do something nice, even if it's like a thought, like a nice thought about somebody. But I want you to only do that nice thing or have that nice thought or have that moment of empathy for somebody that you initially, when you first see them, are like, ugh, like I can't relate to that person. So whether it's a homeless person that you're like, ew, why are they on the streets? Somebody that you've dehumanized, somebody that doesn't have the same political persuasion as you. Um, this world's super divided right now, and it sucks. And no matter where you are and what your position is, um, we can all feel the tension and we can all feel how much it sucks to not be able to get along with other people. And I think the bridge for that gap is empathy. And I think empathy, how do you practice empathy? You practice empathy by saying to yourself, even if you don't quite understand what that person's feeling, try to explore that. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you explore somebody else's like personal opinions and values, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Um, it's not going to change how you think in that moment. It's not going to threaten you. It's not going to hurt you. Um, Ignorance is bliss until it's not. And I think empathy for people that you don't want to be empathetic for is a great way to start. So again, this week, my ask for you, I'm going to do an ask every week. Why don't we do that? If you come up with some asks that you think are cool, like let me know. But my ask this week is show empathy, show sympathy, whatever way that works for you. But show that for somebody that you initially, and I have that feeling too. Everybody does. Do that for somebody that you wouldn't normally do that for. Somebody that you're like, ugh, I don't like that person because of something they said, something that they believe. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm almost at 45 minutes, and that's insanity. I thought I was gonna talk for 15, but yeah, make that your ask. Um, make that your why. Like, why am I doing this? Why is this person doing those things? Anyways, overarching idea of empathy and acceptance and understanding of others doesn't mean that you have to condone their behavior, condone even how they feel. Like, just, I don't know, explore it, put it on for a second. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, but be there for other people, because there's a lot of people that are needing people to be there for them. And they're probably the people that you might not even expect to be. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Let's see where this goes, and I'm gonna leave this space now. All right. I'll see you guys later.